It looks simple. It isn't. At first glance, this teapot looks soft and simple, but the more closely you look, the more structure you begin to see. Here's what to look for. This Kui Duoqiu teapot is built like an assembled sphere, almost like 3 rounded volumes stacked into one. A small sphere at the knob, a second, tighter volume in the lid and upper shoulder, and then the main body gathered into a full, rounded globe below. And this is where it gets interesting. Those petal-like ribs are not decoration. They are the structure that keeps all of those volumes aligned. Watch the ribs. They do not break at the lid line. They continue upward, so the logic of the form does not stop at the shoulder. That is why this form is harder than it looks. On curved surfaces like this, the eye catches small mistakes very quickly. If one section swells too much, if one rib drifts, or if one transition breaks the rhythm, the whole piece feels less convincing almost immediately. And that is why this shape has to be judged as a whole, not by one dramatic detail, but by whether everything stays in agreement. You can see that sense of control especially clearly in the lid. The lid continues the same segmented rhythm as the body, so it does not feel like a separate piece placed on top. It feels integrated, like the upper continuation of the same structure. The knob reinforces that beautifully. It is small, upright, and quietly grooved. It echoes the ribbed logic below without pulling too much attention to itself. And once the lid is removed, you can see that continuity much more clearly. The opening is not a plain circle. It follows the same flower-like rhythm, carrying the exterior logic directly into the mouth of the teapot. But what matters even more is what happens underneath the lid. The underside is shaped to match that same profile. And the fit is so precise that the lid seats cleanly in any rib-aligned position, not just one perfect orientation. On a rim this complex, that's not a small thing. It's a quiet sign of real control. Then there is the spout and the handle. On a form like this, they could easily disrupt the balance if they were too assertive. But here, both are restrained. The spout is short, softly curved, and slightly lifted. The handle is rounded, clean, and visually steady. Neither one fights the body. They support it. And there is an even better detail once you look closer. The spout and the handle appear to grow naturally out of the body, almost as if they were formed as one continuous mass. But in fact, each of them was made separately and then attached with a highly controlled concealed join. That is a subtle but very telling sign of skill. When that kind of joining is done well, it disappears into the form. The better the workmanship, the less it calls attention to itself. And inside, there is even more to look at. At the inner wall where the spout connects, you can see a multi-hole filter rather than a single opening. That is a small detail, but it immediately makes the interior feel more deliberate. It tells you the inside was considered as carefully as the outside. That's what you want to see. The interior seal is worth a close look too. It reads with a calm, even impression, and that quiet consistency adds to the overall sense of control in the making. It's not flashy, it's quietly convincing. This teapot was made by Kuai Liangrong, a respected Yixing maker, especially known for demanding structural forms and his distinctive command of clay. That background fits this piece well, because what stands out here is not excess, but disciplined control carried through a form that still feels warm and natural. And in the end, that is what makes this teapot so satisfying. Not one loud feature, not one exaggerated gesture, but the fact that every part keeps following the same logic. The shape feels soft, but the structure is precise. And the more closely you look, the more deliberate the whole teapot becomes. This is the kind of piece that rewards attention. It does not need to shout. It simply becomes more convincing the longer you stay with it.